Hello there, my friend, and welcome to this free workshop, Discover Your Path to Success in Surface Design. I'm incredibly excited to welcome you here, and I am Anne La Follette, and let me give you a quick little background about me. I actually had a corporate career for over 25 years. I worked in the fashion industry for companies like Esprit, The Gap and Old Navy, and Title IX Sports, and others. And when I was in my late 50s, my boss called me into his office and he said, "Anne, we have just eliminated your job." And let me tell you, that came as a complete shock. I was a top performer at the company. I had actually been at the company for 15 years and was a very well regarded vice president. And it came as a complete shock. He told me, walk down the hall to human resources, and I was just in a complete daze. I called my mom on the way home because, of course, they just asked me to go home. And I called her and I said, "I can't believe it. I've just lost my job." And you know what she said? She said, "You know what? When one door closes, another opens." And she was so right. But I have to let you know that it wasn't an immediate switch from a corporate career to what it is that I'm doing now. It took me quite some time to discover what to do next with my life. I tried to get another corporate job for several years until my husband turned to me and he said, "Sweetie, I think the universe is telling you it's time to try something different." He said, "Why don't you check out all of those art supplies that are gathering dust in the basement?" Over the years, I had collected watercolor paints and beautiful journals and sketch pads and lots of colored pencils, but I'd never had time to use any of them because I was totally dedicated 24/7 to my corporate career. And my whole identity was associated with the perks that you get as you're successful with a corporate career. So his suggestion was brilliant because we brought this big box of art supplies up from the basement. It was gathering dust. He said, "We might as well start using them." And I also took an online art class since I'd never gone to art school, so I could learn a little bit about how to draw because I didn't really have any formal training and I didn't really know how to draw. And so in this online art class, every 2 weeks, you got a new video that taught you some method that was normally taught in art school, like outline drawing, for example. And one of the modules was about creating a repeating pattern by hand. And I'd never heard of surface design, didn't know what surface design was, but I got totally hooked because I love to doodle and make little drawings by hand. And then I learned how to create a repeating pattern by hand. And then I discovered you can bring that artwork into Adobe Illustrator, add color to it, move your motifs around, and create incredibly beautiful artwork that you can put on all kinds of different real products, practical products that people use every day. So I wanted to share that quick story with you before we jump into today's lesson, which is all about surface design, because you may never have heard of it either. And the great part of this story is that my mom was right, that when one door closes, another door opens. And I just needed to take the time to lean into my creativity and discover the path forward. And I'm full of joy today because I have the opportunity to teach these skills to you so that you can discover your path forward in surface design, because the possibilities are endless. I'm going to share my screen now and cover some of today's lesson by using slides. And I think this is a really great way for me to share valuable content with you and to make sure that you can see some examples on screen. And so let's do that right now. I'm incredibly excited to see you today, and I want to let you know that you are in the right place if you've been creative your whole life and love learning new things. You've never considered yourself an artist, but you've always loved to doodle. You want to start or grow your creative business and need some guidance and support along the way. And you've always dreamed of putting your art on fabric or stationery products and more. Now, the workshop schedule, we are here in lesson number 1, which is all about what is surface design, because it's important for us to start at the beginning and confirm why you're here. Then tomorrow you will get a video that's about my 5-stage system for success, because following a proven roadmap means you'll make progress more quickly. Then the day after that, you'll get lesson number 3, which is milestones and key goals. Having milestones to check off as you go means you'll stay on track. And then finally, lesson number 4 is your path ahead. We're going to dive into the 7 ways you can get your artwork out into the world so that you can pick the path that's best for you. To get the most value from this workshop, I want you to download the workbook. I also want to make sure that you join our private Facebook group. It's called Anne's Art Club. And then also I want you to have an opportunity to send in your questions. And I'll make sure that you know where the link is in order to do that. One more thing, I'm live every day during the workshop at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, inside Anne's Art Club, which is our private Facebook group. So I don't want you to miss the additional content I'll be sharing, and also the opportunity for you to get your questions answered. My favorite quote is from Julia Cameron, who wrote the seminal book, The Artist's Way. And it is, "The capacity for delight is the gift of paying attention." And I bring it up here because I really would love you to turn off all of the distractions around you. Focus on the content that's in this video lesson, and then join me at 10 a.m. for my live Q&A session. So let's jump in. What is surface design? Surface design is the application of any piece of art, illustration, or pattern to a surface or substrate with the goal of making it more beautiful. I think showing you some examples is going to really bring this to life. If you look around you right now, you're probably wearing a piece of clothing, either a blouse or a scarf or a sweater, that either has a repeating pattern on it, meaning it repeats from left to right and top to bottom throughout the piece of clothing, or it might be a spot graphic or illustration on your sweater. Maybe it's just a beautiful illustration on a portion of your sweater, or some words on a t-shirt. Those are all surface designs. The tea towels hanging in your kitchen have surface designs on them. The stash of fabrics you use when you have sewing projects or when you're quilting, those when you go into either a quilt shop to buy new fabrics, those are all surface designs. And also the endless supply of new wrapping papers that you use for every occasion. All of the design work that are on those wrapping papers are surface designs. The possibilities are endless in this industry. You can put your designs on stationery, bedding, on any kind of apparel, of course on fabric for different end uses, on ribbon, and I'm not going to read this whole list, but look at this list. You can do baby, kids, nursery wear, holiday decor, home decor, also things that are more in the stationery world, like journals, packaging, planners, calendars, even puzzles. And surface design has existed for centuries. This is an image of actually kind of a modern take on what's called Japanese shibori textile design. And as you can see in the image, it repeats endlessly. And this style dates from the early 8th century. And surface design even existed before that. But I wanted to give you this example because many of you may be familiar with Japanese shibori, and this is a modern interpretation by an artist named Nathan Tucker. Then this is also an incredibly gorgeous example of surface design and how it evolved over time into the 1800s. This is an example of the decorative style, and William Morris was very well known for this ornate, detailed, and yet very delicate style that gained worldwide popularity. You may also recognize this very iconic design by Marimekko. It actually has its own name. It's called Unico, and it is oversized imaginary flowers that they designed in the 1960s. Now, surface design provides you with time, money, and location freedom. That's what this opportunity is really all about. And so let me give you some examples from my own community of students about what does location freedom mean. This is Academy student Maggie Smith's Sherpa fleece blankets that showcase her unique Native American inspired designs. And Maggie actually designed these when she was in Kauai, but she is now back in the United States. And so all you need is your computer, probably just some paper and some pens and pencils if you want to draw by hand, a computer program called Adobe Illustrator, and your computer. And as many of you know, I am recording part of these videos from Paris. That's just another example of the fact that you can do this from anywhere, which is an amazing opportunity to give you that level of location freedom. Then time freedom. Jane Foster, who has loved to sew since she was 6 years old, created her own stash of fabrics with her unique designs on them. She's an example of time freedom because she has a full-time job teaching sewing in her beautiful sewing studio in Northern California, and yet she can carve out the amount of time that she wants to dedicate to creating her own designs. This is a picture of Jane wearing 2 of her fabrics that she combined into this beautiful blouse. She learned how to create those repeating patterns in my Academy program, and now she both sells her fabrics to her sewing students and more broadly. Let's talk about financial freedom. This is another Academy graduate, Kathleen Rogers, who loves tea and has had a passion for tea her whole life. And she came into the Academy program last year in order to be able to create all of the different marketing materials that she uses to sell her monthly tea membership. And what's important about this workshop is it'll provide you with an opportunity to identify exactly your unique journey. And I use her as an example because you can see her image on the right-hand side, and she's holding a beautiful teacup. But also on the left-hand side, you can see that when she took the Academy, she not only learned how to do repeating patterns that you see in the background of the image that's on the left-hand side, those beautiful teacups, and then there is a blue teacup in the background that repeats endlessly on the card. But she also found that she loves to do what's called spot graphics, or illustration work, and her beautiful topiaries are great examples of that. So now it's your turn. I want you to take action today and download the workbook, and inside the workbook there's an area where I want you to write down, why do you want to see your artwork, doodles, and designs on real products? What does this make possible for you? Now it's your turn. Download the workbook and complete the assignments for lesson number 1. Join our private Facebook group, Anne's Art Club, and introduce yourself. When you scroll down in the news feed, you will see a welcome post, and I would love to learn as much about you as possible. Also, join me today for our daily Q&A. It's always going to be at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, right in that Facebook group. And if you pop into the Facebook group and just scroll down, you'll see a countdown timer that will start 5 minutes before I go live. And then please come prepared to share, what are your surface design goals? Again, I want to try to learn as much as possible about you during this free workshop, so that I can help you make the best decision possible for how to move forward. Your next steps are to download the workbook, complete the assignment for lesson number 1, join the Facebook group, introduce yourself there, and then feel free to send me your questions. Now come back tomorrow for lesson number 2, which is my 5-stage system for success. I can't wait to see you then. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next lesson. Bye for now.